Talk about similar areas. Okay, similar means what? Kind of the same, but not exactly the same. Yeah. So Mr. Kwan and I are similar. What's similar about Mr. Kwan and I? We're both teachers. We're both adults. We both are wearing red today. But when you see Mr. Kwan walking down the hallway, do you like second guess yourself and you're like, I don't know if is that Mr. Kwan or is that Miss Morrell? No, like we're different enough that you know the difference between us, okay? So similar means that they're kind of the same, they have similar ideas. Generally speaking, we're talking about something as one is bigger and one is smaller. It's just like it's increased in size. Okay, so we have three things that we're going to be talking about today as we talk about similar solids. If we're talking about a measurement, so we're going to do three things. I'm going to kind of try to write all of mine up here across the top. If you run out of space, you can just go a little bit below. But we have measurement that we're going to talk about. We have our surface area. And we have volume. Those are the three things that we're going to talk about with those similar solids that are either bigger or smaller proportionally. Alright, so as we work, if you would like to use two colors, you can. I'm going to use green and brown, apparently. Those are the two colored pencils I have available to me. We're running along colored pencils. Alright, so green and brown, if you'd like to use the same colors, you can, or just grab two other colors. So when we talk about measurement, we can just compare one side to the other side. And we just say it equals another side compared to the other side. Alright, the sides in the numerators and the top parts we're going to have be coming from the same shape. So that's where I'm going to use colors. If you're not using colors, you might want to mark it like with a 1 or like A, like side A, side B, side B. Or maybe use like a little like squiggle, like circle it and then box it. And then again, the buttons on the bottom come from the same ones. So you could label this as side 1, and then side 2, meaning they're coming from the same shape going across here. Alright, and then we did talk about surface area here. The area we talked about in chapter 11, so if we flip back to chapter 11, it was the very last lesson in chapter 11. When we talked about area, we had our side and side. And area, again, it matched going across, but we took our sides to the power of 2. Thank you. Okay, so same idea with surface area. So with surface area, we'll do side over side. So we're always going to compare sides from one shape to the second shape. But then for surface area, we're going to take this to the power of 2. Equals, and then we'll have our surface area over surface area. So I'm going to do SA for surface area there. So again, these top ones come from the same shape. So if you want to write like ones next to these top ones, side 1, surface area 1, meaning they're coming from the first shape. And then the bottom, the side, and the surface area would come from the same shape here. Or you can color code it and be cool like me. Alright, last one we have is volume. National favorite one, my dude. Alright, last one for volume, we have side over side. But for volume, what power do we think we might take it to? Yep, to the power of 3. How did you know? Because that's volume. Volume is cubic, yep. So side over side equals, and then you could just do V for volume, or if you want to write vol, you could too. Vol and vol. And again, we're matching across. All right, you're going to be getting a glue in. We're going to actually do 3 problems with this one problem that we're going to glue in. I'm going to glue it in on the left side here because we'll show some work on the right side, or you can do right side, left side. Probably if you want to glue it in the middle and do all 3 problems below, you could. We just might not have enough space. You'd have to write really small. All right, be really careful with those glue sticks. Today is the last day that I need those glue sticks, but I need them all day in every period, and I'm running low. So try and use as much of the glue as you can if it's running low. Otherwise, please make sure caps get on them. We also might be using them for the algebra final project next week. So share those glue sticks and get that passed around. Oh my gosh. Don't do what I just did, which is lose the whole glue. There it is. It popped out. It's almost done. Oh, there's a whole nother one. How exciting. Alright, so go ahead and get that glued in. Today we're going to talk about some rectangular prisms, but this works for any type of similar solid. So this would work for pyramids, cylinders, spheres, what am I missing? Cylinders, cones, prisms, all that good stuff. Alright, so we're given a lot of information here. In your practice today, you won't be given as much information on this bottom part because here we're just going to take the same picture and we're just going to do 3 different problems with the same picture. In your practice, there'll just be one thing that it gives you because it's only going to be one problem at a time, if that makes sense. So first thing we're going to do, I'm going to color code A and B here. So I'm going to make A my green. And I'm going to make B my brown. So if you'd like to also color code, you can. If you don't want to color code, that's fine. Just notice A and B. All right, and the lengths that we're given here, we already know that A has a side length of 8. And B has a side length of 5. So those are the 2 numbers that we're going to continuously go back to and compare. Those are going to be these side, 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 side. Each of these sides, we're going to use 5 and 8 or 8 and 5. And we're going to continuously go back to those. Okay? All right, so first thing we're going to do is we are going to find the height of A. We're going to find the height of A. All right, so A is my height here. So as I set up my ratios, I'm going to have my equal sign. And I'm going to set up a ratio and a ratio. I always want my x or my missing amount to go in the numerator. Okay, so I'm going to put my x for height over here on the right side, and that's my green. So what goes with that height? What number could I put with that? 25, yep. Would 25 go across from the x in the first ratio, or would it go below the x? Yeah, it would go below because these are the heights over here. So this would be 25. So this is my heights, if you need to label that. Heights are on the right side. So on the left side is going to be my sides. Now for my sides, it really matters which one goes on top and which one goes on bottom. Is it going to be 5 over 8 or 8 over 5? And it's going to be based on this ratio here. We have x over 25. So we need it to match. So what side matches with x? The 8 or the 5? Our height that we're missing goes with A, so it will go with 8. Yep. So 8 over 5. All right, last step before we solve is we just need to make sure that we are going to just solve it as it is. So if I look back up, is this a measurement that we're finding, a surface area, or a volume? What would height be considered? Just a measurement. So we don't need to use the squared or the third. We're not doing surface area or volume. So at this point, we're just solving it. If you had Mr. Varst or Miss Lundy last trimester, you might use the cross product. You can do the cross product. Stay in your practice. You don't need to use that. You're just going to do it. So if you're going, that didn't make sense what I just said. In your practice, there's no you're not showing your work. You're going to set up the problem and then write the answer. So if you want to do the cross product, you can. The way we did it in our classroom is we just looked at this as x divided by 25. So to undo divide, we do what? Multiply. So multiply by 25 on both sides. On the right side, that undoes the 25. We would be left with just x equals. And over here, we're going to put that into our calculator. So 8, let's see if that works better. There we go. 8 over 5, and then off to the side, times 25. So we're putting that into our calculator, and we get 40. All right, so height of A is 40. And then we're going to label it meters, square meters, or cubic meters. What would height be measured as? Whoa, you guys, look at that. This is all just supposed to be meters, not centimeters. Who typed this? Miss Morrell. Whoops, I'll try and get that fixed for next year. My bad. They're all just supposed to be meters. So when you measure height, height is just a length, so it's just meters. When you measure like a side length or a perimeter or anything like that, it's just that measurement, just meters. All right, next up, we're going to find the surface area of B. So again, we're just going back to the same drawing. We're going to now use the idea of surface area. So again, I'm going to set up my two ratios, my two fractions. I always want my x to be in that numerator. That's always going to make it easiest. If I put x in the denominator, it's just going to make sure that we have to do the cross product to solve, and it gets a little complex. So this time my surface area, I'm going to put that x over here, because that's what we're missing. And our surface areas go on this side. Sides are going on this side, on the left. All right, so one surface area is x. What's my other surface area? Other surface area we have is 512. So when I go back to my sides, this is the part that I really need to focus on. If I have x over 512, am I going to do 8 over 5 or 5 over 8? Why 5 over 8? Good, it matches. So our x, our surface area we're missing this time, is from B. So that's where that color coding can be really helpful to look at, if that's something that helps you, or just making sure that you're checking. Okay, and then our last step here before we solve it is we're doing surface area. So we're going to go back up to our formulas here. For surface area, we need to do what with our sides? We need to do our sides squared. So we're at 5 over 8. We're going to put parentheses around them and do that squared. Then we can solve it. Doesn't make it too much more complex with that squared. It just makes sure that we get the right answer. So again, if you wanted to do a cross product on this one, you could. But to do the cross product, you would need to square this first. So you would have 25 over 64, and then you would do your cross product. Okay. If you're solving it Miss Morrell's way, which in my brain is easier, but you do you, all we have to do is undo dividing by 512, which is multiplying by 512. And the reason for me that this is easier is because I can just type this whole thing in. I don't need to actually put 5 squared and 8 squared. I just do parentheses, 5 over 8, parentheses squared, and then times 512. And our answer is 200. All right, so the surface area of B is 200. Now are we going to label that meters, square meters, or cubic meters? Good. Surface area always gets that square meters. All right, last one we need to find is volume. And we're going to find the volume of A. In your practice today, it's going to give you a sentence at the bottom, so it's not going to have these like typed out like this. What it's going to say is it's going to say the volume of B is 375. What is the volume of A? Does that make sense? It'll be like a sentence, and you just need to match which one it goes with. Okay, so we're going to find the volume of A. So again, I'm going to set up my ratios. On one side, I'm going to have my volumes, which usually we always put on the right side here. And on the left side, we'll have our sides. And if you're somebody who you work by looking back up here with volumes and sides, you're going to see with the sides, we're going to do parentheses into the power of 3. So if you want to put that in right away, you could. Parentheses 3. My brain does that at the end. Some people's, they do that at the first. It's whatever your brain does, whatever is easiest for you. All right, we're always going to put our x, our unknown, in the numerator, and we're finding volume, so it's going to go on our volume side. So x. What's our other volume we have? Looking back at your picture. 375. So we're always comparing volumes together. Now as we compare sides, this is the part where we have to decide which order it goes in, and that's going to really change our answer if we have it in a different order. Is it going to be 5 over 8 like last time, or 8 over 5? And what we're looking for is matching. So our x, our missing volume, does our missing volume go with the 5, or does the missing volume go with the 8? Yeah, what? No. The 8, the missing volume goes with 8. The 375 goes with 5. So we're going to have 8 on top with the x. Those come from the same shape. 375 comes from this shape B. It comes with a 5. So we'll have 5 in the denominator in the bottom. And again, that's where my color coding comes from. So while you're working today, if it helps you to write this out on a whiteboard, you might want to use like 2 color whiteboard markers. If you don't have 2 color whiteboard markers, I know we're running low. Let us know. We can help you find another color. But you could just use like black and red or blue and brown. All right, and then to undo that dividing by 3. So if you're going to cross product, you would need to do this to the 3rd power first. You have to do 8 to the 3rd, 5 to the 3rd, find those answers, then cross product. You have to get rid of the parentheses before you do that. Okay. Otherwise, we can just multiply by 375, both sides. Okay, in our calculator, we're going to make sure that we type that in really nice. We're going to make sure that if we're going to retype anything, we have it all right. This one is so not correct, then I'm going to just restart over. So parenthesis 8 over 5, parenthesis, and then it's to the power of 3. So I do that AB power of 3, and then times 375. And we get 1,536. All right, and again, let's focus on that labeling, that the volume of A is 1,536. So we're going to do meters, square meters, or cubic meters. Cubic, good. What does volume actually measure? Why does it get cubic?